A former MVP returned tonight. Joel Embiid came back and played the New York Knicks and played for about 5 minutes and looked like he was going to keel over. Then he left. Disappeared. Was he hurt? Not sure. Came back, played some more. Every time the game stopped, he was keeled over with both hands on his knees, like a 53-year-old guy playing pickup, over Thanksgiving. It was pretty brutal. Paul George looked good, and Embiid did not, and they lost. And I guess this is just how it's going to go as Embiid plays himself into shape. I'm doing air quotes. Philly's 2-8. I don't really see how this Embiid thing goes over the next, 6, 7, 8 weeks, but most of the scenarios are not good. There's a couple of scenarios where it's like 3 weeks from now. Oh my God, Embiid, he's got his legs back. He just put up 48 on Orlando. There's a whole bunch of other scenarios where it's like, yeah, Embiid, they're going to have to shut it down again for a week, or Embiid walked off again, or oh my God, when Embiid plays, the other team has the highest offensive rebounding rate in the league because he just seems like he's anchored in the middle of the paint. It's not great, Kirk.
No.
They just gave him the extension. They built this whole team. They went all in. There was a lot of preseason hype as a possible champion, which I thought was ludicrous. It's not great. What are you seeing?
I saw one of the worst games I've ever seen Joel play today. 2 of 11 in 26 minutes, 3 rebounds. This is supposed to be one of the most impactful players in the whole league, man. And he took it easy, and he is, like you say, playing his way into shape, but also the Sixers are playing their way out of any kind of postseason potential. They're like 2-8. And I it's a lot of Kyle Lowry too out there because Maxi's hurt. And I just don't know how much deeper they can dig. In a normal year, they'd be screwed right now, but the East is so bad below the Cavs and Celtics. There's still time for them to be fine. But what I need to see is more from Joel. He did not look active. He did not look competitive. And if that's what we're going to get this year or this fall, they're not going to be good, period. Jacoby was texting earlier. He didn't seem very impressed. Is that fair to say, Jacoby?
If you give me 40 seconds to tell a personal story, I play a lot of Golden Tee, as you guys know, and I'm very good at Golden Tee. I've got a profile. I routinely just put up high scores and wherever I go. People sometimes crowd around. I've played Bill and beaten Bill every time we played. But
so not true.
And one time, the great Connor Shell sent me to Vegas to go to the Golden Tee World Championship. And it was there that I found that I'm not good at Golden Tee. I'm just better than the people that happen to be in my proximity. And I watched these men and women play Golden Tee at a level that I was just not ready to be around. And I felt like that's how Joel Embiid was this evening. Because there was something, I had much higher expectations for this. Because he played in the Olympics. There was no reported surgery or injury or anything that serious. He had the suspension, which delayed his comeback even further. And I actually saw him in pregame and his arms looked kind of skinny. And I was like, oh, look, he's in shape. But he was me playing professional Golden Tears tonight. He was not ready for the speed and just the physicality of NBA basketball. I remember one rebound bounce off the rim, and you watch enough NBA basketball as we do, you're just kind of used to the rhythm of how things work. And it was his rebound. It was a rebound for Joel Embiid. And as a Knicks fan, I'm assuming that we're going the other way. And Cat just kind of circled around him and grabbed it and put it back. And I was just like, what was that? It was like he wasn't even trying. So this was more of a me problem that I expected so much more from Joel Embiid because he looked like someone who hadn't played for 2 years and was just kind of coming back and should have come off the bench.
Yeah, so this was something that became a real problem for them in the playoffs. Him protecting the boards from offensive rebounders, people crashing, people out-hustling him, basically. There's a big reason why the Knicks won that series. Then you go to the Olympics. It was a big reason why Kerr had trouble playing him, even when he was able to score, even against when they played Jokic. Jokic had 4 fouls and he put a couple shots, but he was still giving up the boards. And it feels like when you watch Embiid, when he can still get the shots that he wants, whether they go in or not, whether he's in shape or not. It just seems like he can barrel around, whirl around. He can get positioned near the basket. But what goes are the protecting his own rim when he's on defense and just the speed of just being able to move around, where it just seems like he's doing this as guys are kind of flying around him. And then there's a clumsiness that seems to ratchet up when the less in shape he is around the basket, where he'll get in position and then he'll just come crashing down. I don't see it. I really feel like there might have been too many injuries for him to come back for at the level that he was at 2 years from now. So this has now become one of the big stories of the year. People are going to go, well, he's hurt. He's got to play himself back in shape. Well, it's mid-November. You know, the Sixers got eliminated from the playoffs at the end of April. He didn't have to play in the Olympics. He did. I don't know why you can't stay in shape when you're rehabbing. I guess I just don't understand enough about it. If your knee hurts, aren't there still ways to stay in shape so you don't look like you're completely gassed 4 minutes into a basketball game? I don't get it.
Can I ask you guys a question? If this were Shaq, right? If you were tracking Shaq's career from Orlando all the way through the end, what era Shaq is 2024 Joel Embiid?
A really important point. And it's something we talked about this summer. Like, this is what happens to big guys. So right now he's in like 2000, what he looked like tonight, he's in like the 2008 Phoenix range.
Yeah.
Right?
Yeah, that's what I was going to say, Phoenix era. And it's not pretty, but this is what it looks like. I'm sorry. Like,
he's been in the league 11 years. You know, I don't know. I'd be losing if I was a Sixers fan, I'd be losing my mind. I would just be like, how did all of this happen? Why did he play in the Olympics? Why didn't you tell us what happened with him with his legs before the season started? Why was there all this mystery around it? Is he healthy now? What's wrong with him now? Can you tell us? And it just seems like they're, I don't know, being super tight-lipped about everything. Plus, they gave him the extension, which is the other piece of this. Like, they gave him this massive extension, which is very similar to what happened with the Pelicans with Zion. But they kind of doubled down on somebody who had never really shown that they could stay healthy for that long. And you start doing that, you can't come back from that with the way the cap is now. I don't know, bum me out. I like watching Embiid when he's healthy. And the guy tonight didn't even look close.
There's a version of this where after the All-Star game, he's back to being MVP Embiid, because we've seen peak Embiid be absolutely dominant, just night after night, not just scoring. Like, do you remember when they used to just like give it to him at the nail and like run around him? And he would just if you backed off him, he would turn and shoot, or he would back you down if he had a mismatch. Like, there was a while where they would just, I think Doc was the coach, where they would just give it to him at the foul line, and just that's how they started their offense. And it was beautiful because he was playmaking, he was shooting, he was going to the rim, he was step backing. And now it just seems like that guy just doesn't exist anymore.
How does it play out for you, Kirk? Because I'll just tell you this. I've been around a long time, and we talked about this over-unders, like just with the history of the league. And I was talking about how Blake Griffin was a good example of this, who had a different set of injuries than Embiid did. But at some point, there were too many of them, and it passed the point of no return, and you can't come back. And that's what we've seen over and over again. Zion's a really unusual case because it just seems over and over again it's hamstrings. And like, I was driving around with my wife yesterday, and I had Termini and Eddie on, and they were talking about him. And my wife was like, I don't understand. How do you have like chronically bad hamstrings? Like, you just have to stretch and stay hydrated. What's wrong with this guy? And I was like, honey, we've been asking this for 6 years. There is no answer.
Why does she listen to Termini and Eddie with you? Like, that's spousal abuse.
Better question. It was her listening after 5 minutes straight of her going, get these guys off and put music on. I was like, I just want to hear this top part.
I love those guys. I think, to answer your question, I think this is Miami. First of all, Shaq's a better player, but I would put him in that optimistically the Miami era Shaq. I think there is
06 Shaq. Okay.
I think there's a chance that he is still capable of turning a corner and getting in shape. So I think that's the optimistic version. I think the pessimistic version is Phoenix Shaq, which is like, we're never going to see what we thought we were used to seeing ever again. It feels like he has about 30 games to figure this out. And if he doesn't, that contract is going to be an albatross, plain and simple.
Like an all-timer.
An all-timer.
Yeah, part of me wonders why they brought him back at all. I don't understand what the upside was of putting him out. It just feels like it would be way easier for him to get hurt worse than whatever upside you get from actually playing him.